Episode 173 of Australia's #1 marketing show. It's time for some funny business with AG, so join us inside the monkey cage as we talk pop-up shops, the state of social media, and discuss a very special club that you really don't want to be a part of.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I am Timbo Reid. However, so much more importantly, you are a motivated small business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. And that is what we do around here. That is how we roll. We are brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry. As you may well know, if you've ever listened to this show, you'll be pretty clear that Net Registry give us a lot of online lovin'. And we're talking SEO love, pay-per-click love, website design love, domain name hosting, domain name registration, just love. They are there to get your online marketing sorted. So head over to netregistry.com.au. Even better, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, click on the Net Registry banner, and there are 3 exclusive packages for you, the motivated small business owner. And a very big welcome to flying soloists. Anyone out there in the flying solo community, we welcome you aboard. All right, team, well, it's one of those shows. I don't know whether to apologise or to warn you to be very excited, because it is episode 9 of Funny Business. It may well be episode 170-something of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, but every now and then, me funny old buddy Andrew Griffiths, AG, Griffo, whatever you want to call him, whatever term of endearment you have for him, we get together, we hang out in the monkey's cage, and we talk about the lighter side, not always the lighter side, sometimes the heavier side of business, but we always promise to make it fun. I'm just going to head over to the cage now. You can hear those monkeys chattering in the background, and one of them is the great man himself. There he is, hanging off the tree. Listen to him, mate. Griffo, welcome, mate.
Mate, what is going on this morning? You've had too many bananas. You're fine. We chatted before, and you're gulping down lattes left, right, instead of that caffeine is kicked in big time.
Mate, I can tell you exactly what it is, and I just had, this is going to give an insight into me, the tough podcaster. I just had a spider in my office. I know. I'm high on spray.
Sprayed it, shut the doors.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting little lesson. As I say that, a fair income podcaster would have just grabbed it, bitten its head off, and kept going mid. It wouldn't have even paused. You got to toughen up, fella.
I'm sure there's listeners out there who are going, "Oh, you didn't spray it, didn't you? You put it in a jar and put it back outside." No, I sprayed that puppy. It was bigger than a puppy too, Griffo. It had 16 legs. I know, which is not normal, but mate, it was big. But that said, I feel a bit weak because you're up in Cairns, and I reckon the spider's up there. You could whack a saddle on and ride to work.
Yeah, well, and I am one of those people that puts the glass jar. But of course, in Cairns, everything's bigger up here. We put the 44-gallon drum over the spider, and walk it out. 4 blokes holding it down. I mean, buddy, you got to harden up down there.
I know. Hey, now, mate, welcome. It's lovely to have you back in the cage. Gee, we've got some stuff to cover. We are going to talk. We're just going to spend a little bit of time on social media today, because there's an example of someone I'm following who I'm watching, using Facebook particularly well, but just a quick overview on where we're at with our social media presence. We're going to talk about a wonderful new pop-up store concept that I've seen along the way. We are going to talk about being chased as a consumer, whether we like that or not. We have got a bit of, we're going to go old school, talk about whether there is room for old school marketing anymore. And you are going to remind us of a very special club that we may or may not want to be a part of. Plus, there is a new sponsor in the house. Oh, yeah.
We like that. We like that.
Oh, yeah. So proud to announce that we have a new partner brand on the SBBM show. And I never call it the SBBM show. I don't like acronyms, the Small Business Big Marketing Show. So, mate, we've got, I don't know, what do you reckon? It'll be a 5-hour episode?
At least 5 hours. I think that's it. Everyone just cancel all your other appointments. Listen in now. It's going to be worth it. Let's get going.
Righto, mate. Social media. Let's go. Let's talk social media. So, I don't know. We just haven't had the chat for a long time. I don't like focusing. There's too much marketing discussion around social media, too many gurus out there, and I don't want to put certainly myself out there as a social media guru. Suffice to say that, mate, it's not going away.
It ain't going away, but I think it's interesting. I think the way it's evolving, trying to figure out what do you want to use it for. I mean, I'm active on... For me, most of my stuff revolves around my blog. I'm still a believer that I want to put most of my information on my blog and then use social media to get that out there, to drive it out from there. So that's the central point. But I think for me, at least, what I'm getting a little bit clearer about is how I use LinkedIn, how I use Twitter, and how I use Facebook. Before, it was all a bit of a bloody mesh of a whole pile of things. And I don't think I really had a strategy for each one. Whereas now I tend to look at it a bit as LinkedIn is my professional kind of space. I have a couple of thousand connections in there. I use it for articles, depth. A bit of depth is probably what I would say with LinkedIn. More serious stuff.
Yeah. You can afford to go deep with LinkedIn because it is more of I see LinkedIn as a bit of a networking event where people are looking for useful information to grow their business, not just have a chinwag.
Exactly. And I find that the conversations around what you post in LinkedIn are intelligent conversations, good for generally.
Do you struggle with that?
Yeah, well, I don't do any intelligent conversations, but other people do.
Yeah, right.
But I like that. People add comments that are well thought through, and I'm a member of a few groups, which I find really interesting. Good discussion and intelligent stuff. I posted a discussion on LinkedIn about what have you learnt from in being in business, or what advice would you give to someone who is starting a new business tomorrow? And I had hundreds of comments, feedback, really great information. Again, all very diverse. But I thought, wow, good little learning space.
Whereas if you had have kind of taken that onto Facebook, that conversation, you would have needed to frame it probably differently, maybe in a lighter tone. Yes. And not probably got as many kind of considered responses. Would that be fair?
Absolutely, and I think that's the point. When for me at least, when I'm using LinkedIn, I'm probably in professional mode. My head's in working mode a bit more. When I'm in Facebook, it's a little bit lighter, and in Twitter, it's probably a lot lighter.
Twitter. I must check out Twitter. How do you spell that?
Twitter's a new one. It's an AG one. It's just me in a tin can. Yeah. And I need someone else with a tin can.
Correct.
But it's interesting. But again, for me, mate, coming back to the blog, everything I do on my blog, and then I choose where I feed it out.
Great. I want to share then a business that I've been watching their use of Facebook and their blog, and it's brilliant. Their articles do my head in a bit. It's a past guest. Mia Friedman is a past guest of this show, and Mia has a business called Mamma Mia, and it's a massively successful blog. And off the back on that blog, her and her team of 30 or 40 or 50 people every day scouring the web for interesting news articles. Often I'm finding more and more, bit of a rant here, but more and more they're kind of negative things that they want to kind of share. But yeah, I've kind of left a couple of comments on their blog, on their Facebook to that effect. But what they do brilliantly is this, Griffo. They curate content and they blog about it, right? So what I mean by that is they might find an article on another website and they put their own spin on it, and that creates a blog post for them, right? They then grab the link to that blog post off their website, off the Mamma Mia website, and then they go onto Facebook and they post it with some unbelievable, this is the ninja tactic, compelling headlines that make you can't help but click on the link to find out what it's really about. And once you've clicked on that link, you've left Facebook and you're back on their blog. Let me give you an example of 3 headlines, which you kind of just go, I've got to click on them. Here's the first one. Why this picture of a pregnant celebrity made our office explode. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you've got to click on the link to see the picture.
Who was it?
Don't know. Didn't click on it. I could. I've actually got it here, but I've just grabbed these from this morning because I just wanted like everything. I just thought I'll go to their Facebook, and I bet the first three things I'll want to click on. Next one is the toys from your childhood have had a sexy makeover, and it's not okay. You click on the link. The third one, someone took a photo of the bathroom at the Sochi Olympic venue. You won't believe what's inside.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Have you seen that one, funnily enough?
Well, no, you digress. What is it?
Two men's toilets beside each other.
Oh, I have.
Like, with no wall separating them, so you have communal sit-down toilets.
We should maybe buy them after it's over, and we could podcast, from the can, so to speak. That would be literally by each episode would be right. It's in the can.
It's in the can. But I must say, though, that's a very interesting point. Not only the use of the social media side of things, but the power of headlines.
Oh, mate, the headline.
It is. I know, and a lot of people know I write for Inc.com in the USA, and the amount of time and energy that goes into getting the headlines right, it can be the difference between 50,000 people reading an article and 1 million people reading an article is the headline. It is same article, and it's extraordinary. So the best advice, whether it be on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is, if you want some great advice, write a great headline.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. And that's just that goes for right across marketing communications. Email, you want to get an email opened? Write a great headline. You want to get a brochure read? Write a great headline. Want to, every YouTube videos, every show note that I write for Small Business Big Marketing, like get that headline right because that's what's going to be seen in iTunes. And that's when people are going to make that decision. Oh, yeah, I'm going to listen to that episode because it's compelling headlines. So
it's a new attention-grabbing device, isn't it?
It's not that new, mate.
Well, you're right. You're right. It's not that new. Good point. But I'm still surprised at how much correspondence, communication, marketing you get that is really not, so geared away from that. It's so dull, it's so boring, it's so non-attention grabbing that you go, well, you don't want to sensationalize everything, but if you don't get attention, if people don't read what you're doing, there's no point writing it, or sending it.
Can I pull you up on something?
Sure.
I think when you send your wonderful newsletter out, which is full of great content, could be wrong here, is the headline in the email business bullet number 43?
It is, absolutely.
Is that a good idea?
No, it's not.
Oh, I pulled you up. Sorry.
It's not, but you're right. And it's interesting that you say that, though, Timbo, because it is one of the things that has been we were chatting off air earlier on about things we need to do and fix up. And for me, that was one of the ones exactly that. I initially started it. I'm up to 150, 200, whatever it is. And you keep the routine going of that headline.
Yeah. So what change when you get the time are you going to make?
I will make it. The lead story is what I will make it around, rather than that. And in the past, I've tried to make an all-encompassing sentence about all the things that are covered in the newsletter. And again, I think it's just too much. But I'm glad to be picked up on it, and I absolutely, believe that you're right.
Well, you've been a very naughty monkey. I think you're a monkey that needs a good spanking, Griffo.
Oh, Timbo.
Sorry. Let's move on. Great to have that chat about social media. A couple of lessons there for us all. It's all about getting people back to the website. So make sure your social media is conversational, engaging, and a little bit curious. Enough. No, okay. Mate. It's the 5-hour thing at the start. That was a joke. We can't do a 5-hour episode. Right. I am going to move on. Now, Griffo, I have come across, it's actually not a brand new idea, but it's an idea that I want to see more of. And I saw this a fair bit in Italy, this concept of pop-up stores. And I came across an idea here on the wonderful website Springwise, talking about how there's a business called Storefront, which is collaborating with the New York Metropolitan Transit Authority to open up unused subway facilities as pop-up booths for...
I read the same article.
Isn't it great? So basically the concept is for micro businesses who could never dream of having retail space on the street or in a subway are now having the opportunity to use underutilized space. And I think, you only have to walk around high streets these days. There's a lot of police signs and disclosure signs not everywhere, every now and then. And the idea of actually giving entrepreneurs and micropreneurs the chance to have some retail space, I think, is golden.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting to see, I've even had pop-ups in Cairns. I mean,
God, that backwater.
What is going on around that side of things? But I must say, I agree with you. I love the idea. It's the essence of entrepreneurialism. That find a space, do something different about it. Did you see one? I don't know if it was on Springwise, but I came across it somewhere where actually this is a little bit different. But what a local town had done, they had a lot of empty stores. They actually got facades put on the shops that looked like the shops were full. So the image, the paintings or whatever it was, photos on the front of the shop were like a butcher shop. So it looks like a real butcher shop, and you'd kind of be walking along going that, and they just created this almost kind of arty community of empty shops. But I just thought, wow, isn't that a nice thing?
Yes.
Again, to try and promote, I guess, the area more than anything else. But isn't Springwise one of the greatest resources on the face of the planet? For inspiration.
A good inspiration, good way to, I even use it. In fact, it's funny how it's an interesting question to ask. How do people use your product or service? Because for me, Springwise is a quick break when the brain's overloaded. If I've been working on something, I think, I can get up, go for a walk, grab a glass of water. But also flicking to something like Springwise is fun because it just shows you new ideas, and it just kind of uses a different part of your brain. So
I use a lot of Springwise ideas and things in my presentations to when I'm coaching clients or doing stuff like that. Hey, this is what I'm talking about. Have a look at this idea.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it on our last session was about the mobile dentist.
Yeah.
And again, the concept that this is an illustration of the fact that if you're not mobile, that's what people are doing now. They're chasing the business.
Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the teeth. Hey, just a shout out then to finish that discussion around pop-up stores. Landlords out there, local councils, local authorities, wake up. Use that space that isn't being utilised and help young or old entrepreneurs and micropreneurs, eh?
Here, mate. Here. Love it.
Now, Griffo, speaking of new ideas, my friend, I love a new idea, and I particularly love a simple idea that addresses a common problem, right?
Okay, beautiful.
I would like to welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Tribe Swiftly.com. That would be SWIFTLY.com.
Nice.
It's an amazing little service. Small design fixes fast for $15 a fix.
Wow, that's cool.
It is. So what you can do, here's some things you could use Swiftly for. You could get your business card altered. If you changed address, you could just send Swiftly your business card. They'll put the new address on it. You could get a photo touched up.
Wow, that's handy.
You got a few of those, Griffo, that you could just get a little fix to, hey? Little lift.
Plenty, mate, plenty.
And you could get a logo altered. You might want to change the color of your logo. You could get an image vectorized. That's a big techo, isn't it? That's about as geeky as we get on the show. But that's what Swiftly do. All you have to do, you go to swiftly.com, you hit create a task, and you literally, it says it asks for your email address. It asks you to describe what you want done and then to upload any logos or images or sketches or documents that the task needs to work on.
So do you have to send them like graphic designery files, like in Illustrator or Adobe InDesign or that kind of stuff?
Do you know what? That was exactly my first question when they approached me to be part of the show. You don't. So if you've got like a JPEG or a PDF or a PNG file, they send it and they can convert it to a vector file that they can work on.
That's extraordinary. Now, how quick, and I bet they do it fast, right? So obviously they would have to.
Therein lies the name, Griffo.
Yes.
Swiftly. Yeah, right there.
See, I told you I'm not that bright. But how fast is fast? Is it like we all have? Is it going to come back to you in 3 days fast?
You know what? It's minutes. It's not even hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. No, we're talking. It could be as quick as like 25, 30 minutes. Or it might be, a few hours, but nothing more. It's just quick turnaround. So guys, this addresses a real problem, particularly, if you don't want to, if you just got minor design changes that you don't want to bother your graphic designer with, or it's going to cost a bomb if you do.
Or take forever.
Well, yes, yep.
You know?
Hello to all you graphic designers. But by the way, there are uses that graphic designers can use for Swiftly 4. I'll touch on that in future episodes.
Great service, isn't it? There's microservices.
Yes.
That's what we're starting to see more of. I mean, I was recently, trying to come up with a banner. And you can get banners done. You can do, with so many different things that's all they do is make banners. It's quick changes like that. Like for me, I know my graphic designer would find making changes. A lot of these little changes actually a pain. Open the file, do all this, get it, email through. It's I think it's a very cool idea. I love it.
So listeners, head over to Swiftly SWIFTLY.com and try it out. $15 a task. Hey, everyone's a winner. Now, Griffo.
Yes.
Let's move on to the chase. Let's cut to the chase.
Okay, I like being chased.
Do you? Well,
I'm used to it.
As a consumer, I'd like to see you being chased. Be like that, something out of the Benny Hill show, if you can remember that far back.
The fastest milkman in the West, mate.
Now, mate, as a consumer, I've been reflecting on this because there's a couple of instances in the last week or two where I've actually wanted to be chased but haven't been, and it's left me feeling like, oh well, do they really want my business? Is there something wrong with the product or service that's going on? I'll give you a couple of examples. We just came back from a big trip to Italy, 4 weeks in Italy, big family holiday. If I had been the travel agent that booked that trip for us, I reckon I would have diarised the fact that the Reid family were back, give them a call, see how they went, because here's the thing, we came back going, how good was that holiday?
Let's book another one.
Let's book one next year.
Exactly.
Hey? So I haven't heard from that travel agent, and hello if you're listening. Second, my accountant, who every now and then does listen to this show, we've been talking about an interesting investment strategy. Filled out all the documents before I went away, and was ready to pounce on it immediately upon my return, and so was he. But I haven't heard from him, and it's a very high involvement decision, and I wanted to be chased. And now I'm going, oh, maybe it's not as good as it was, and he's lost faith. I don't know, So my question: do you like to be chased?
I do, and I've got to say, same thing. Look, I could mention many, many examples of that side of things around it. I think it's one of the greatest weaknesses in business these days is a lack of proactivity from business owners or business development people, whoever it might be. If you look back at the stats, and there's some old stats around for many years, but, a lot of people say that, 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Most people fail to even make the first contact. They fail to, people send through quotes. Define
a contact. Like a quote, an email, a face-to-face?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, one of those, So if you add them all up, it's a 12th contact. I've also read figures that if you're, say, a contractor, a plumber, or a tradie, that if you're the one who rings and follows up on the quote, you increase your chances of getting that job by 50%. So just by having a process in place. Now, I don't think it changes. I just had this conversation with my web developer yesterday saying, hey, I love what you do, but I would love you to be more proactive and be coming to me with ideas. You're the professional in that space. Tell me what I need to be doing rather than me going, I reckon it's time to change my blog headings or my newsletter template or format or whatever it might be. And I agree. I talk to so many people that want to improve their business and we need more money, we need more revenue. And I always ask them that, what's your follow-up process like? They don't have a follow-up process. They don't have a strategy. They don't get it. Your travel agent's a prime example. A smart travel agent would have rung you 2 or 3 days afterwards. Actually, a really smart travel agent would have sent you a gift.
Correct.
To be waiting for you, when you got back, something you tell you.
When you're spending that kind of dough,
absolutely.
I think this chase thing, like if I'm I don't want to be chased when I'm in the supermarket buying a chocolate bar, but I think the higher involvement the decision, the more dough it's going to cost, whatever that involvement involves, then the chase becomes that much more important. And I personally don't like walking into a clothes shop and, how are you? Yeah, good. How's your day? Yeah, whatever. I just want to have a look at these jeans, and then they follow you around. But I don't like that. But for the higher involvement for me, chase me every day of the week.
Well, I agree. I think that's different in a retail environment. That's more stalking. I'd rather put a restraining order on the person.
Yeah.
And there's that sense of that service to follow you around. And most of us, Australians in particular, we hate to be followed around. Let us work out what we want, and then we'll buy it generally.
Bali's good at that, mate. Walk into any shop in Bali, you will look 1 centimetre behind.
Got a shadow,
Shadow.
Yeah.
You've got a shadow.
You got to, but it's such a big point, mate. So many businesses could generate so much more revenue. In fact, I don't know any business that couldn't generate more revenue by having a better follow-up system, whatever it might be. And often it's just because it's not inherent in that business or that industry, rather. People think, oh, well, we give quotes and then they'll come back to us if we're ready. I had this conversation yesterday with a company that makes kitchens. I have this conversation with people all the time. Have an extraordinary follow-up strategy for making contact, making sure after the sale, all this is kind of old school stuff that the old guys that used to sell do.
What do you think? Why doesn't it happen more? Is it a lack of people get busy? Do they think that they're going to be annoying? Is it going to be an annoying kind of thing?
Some of it, I think people are afraid of coming across as being pushy. No one wants to be a used car salesman, is that concept. And that's
hello to all you used car salesmen listening, by the way.
But that is the misconception, isn't it? That I'm being pushy. Whereas in fact, it's not. It's service. It's as long as you aren't being pushy, of course. But the follow up. How many times does someone really follow up on you in an extraordinary way? I had this conversation about booking venues recently. To someone who books hundreds of them around the world on a global scale. Out of the last year, they've been followed up once by a venue. How did everything go?
Wow.
And you look at it and go, gee whiz, all you got to do most of the time to get the sale is make the call.
And here's the thing, what I found, and I'll share another experience I had just on the weekend just gone. It's about starting and continuing the conversation. So Soph and I went to buy a couch on the weekend just gone. And again, high involvement decision. It's not hundreds of dollars; it's thousands of dollars purchase decision. And we got to one place, and this is not so much about the chase, and they actually haven't followed up, which is kind of interesting. And it's now Friday, and this was Sunday. But I loved their sales process. So I'm digressing a bit, but stick with it because I think it's worth sharing. We went in, we were looking around. We were really just looking around. We didn't think we were ready to have the conversation with the salesperson on the floor. But she came up. She said, hi, welcome. Have you got any questions? And we said, no. In fact, I said, no. We're just having a bit of a squiz at the moment and just kind of getting a sense of what's around. She said, that's fine. But just be aware of a couple of things. And then she told us about the frame manufacturing process. And at that point, the conversation had started, and 90 minutes later, the conversation finished. So she had now we didn't buy a couch then, and she actually didn't want it. She even said, she didn't say don't buy, but she said go away and consider the two options. And it was impressive. It's actually interesting that she hasn't followed up. But what was impressive is the way she's taken us from no, we don't have any questions just yet, to saying, oh, that's fine, but just be aware that our frames are the best in the world or whatever it is. And the conversation started.
That's where, though, to me, the successful people in any form of business and selling and all the rest of it, it is a conversation. And you and I both know, and people know, the way to get that started, the start is the problem. Hi, can I help you? That kind of stuff. Everyone gets stumbled on that, is to ask better questions. It all comes back. You got to not master the answers, master the questions. Because if you ask the right questions, it's extraordinary how that just creates a conversation. Yep. Can I share a brief story as well around that example?
How brief is it, Griffo? Just what's your define brief?
4 or 5 hours, this one. But it's about buying a car.
Here we go.
Exactly the same process. Friend of mine lent in my car, wrote it off. I needed to buy a new one so that I could run him over and kill him. But I did in Cairns, all the car yards are on the one road. And so you go down, T-shirt, shorts, thongs. Saturday morning, went to every car yard. The first 6, I couldn't get anyone to talk to me or even give me a brochure or sell me a car. This was in the depths of the GFC when everyone's complaining about not being able to sell a car. And then the last one, I walked in, the first thing the guy said to me, he said, before we talk about what cars we've got available, come and sit down for a minute. I want to find out what you need your car for.
Oh, yeah.
An hour later, he's asked me, how many people do I carry? How far do I drive? What do I do? Rah, rah. And came out and said, this is a car that I think is going to suit your purposes. Twice what my budget was, rang me the next day, hey, you know, we've organised it, we've got another vehicle in test drives, all that kind of stuff. It was so professional. I spent twice the amount on that car.
Did you?
Simply because of that. Twice my budget because of that.
Tell me, I mean, that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What was his post-purchase follow-up like once he'd got the sale?
Fabulous.
He continued to love you.
Absolutely fabulous. One, you know, the couple of days after, a month later, how's your car going? First service. In the 3-month thing, there was a little, you know, a gift in the car. You know, thanks very much for, hope you love the car, which I do and did, you know, rah, rah. It was very, very good until he left the dealership. And then the next people, all I do is get a phone call once every year or so saying, can you come and buy a new car?
It's interesting, mate, that whole follow-up thing. It's actually a question that's been asked inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum at the moment. And it's clearly stumping a lot of people because there's no and in fact, I've got the antenna out for finding an expert person in business that uses follow-up as a major strategy. So anyway, we've covered, there's a few tips there, and I think that conversation needs to continue. Listeners, if you have any tips around follow-up, we'd love to hear them. Go to the show notes, go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and find this episode of Funny Business and leave some comments in the show notes, because I think it's a really important strategy that probably gets underutilised. Hey, Griffo, I just want to share, speaking of just really good things, really good marketing, our mates at Net Registry have got a keyword strategy service that I think, a little bit biased, them being the sponsors of this wonderful show and all, but I do think every small business owner should be very, very aware of the keywords that they should be tracking in their business if they want to get found online. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong also with really flying the flag for Net Registry and a sponsor of the show when they're offering great products. You know, that's what it's all about. I've been, you know, again, from my point of view, I've worked with Net Registry over the last few years. I've presented at a few gigs, love their product, etc. I think that's a great thing for us to be promoting and sharing the words, sharing the love. You know, I agree. They've got great packages, a great business. Just like we spoke about Swiftly, they offer a great service for our small business listeners and entrepreneurs. You know, we need to be getting this information out, because I think a lot of time, where do you go for your info? That's one of the things that I think many people struggle with. And you're such a wealth of information. Seriously, you know everything about all this kind of stuff. And that's when I meet with people, I often go, how do you know about all this stuff? I go, I asked Tim Reid. You know, he knows everything about what camera to buy, who to go to get that, what software to use for this, what microphone to buy, who to get your keyword strategy service done.
Why do cornflakes go soggy in hot milk? I still don't have the answer for that one, but
exactly, you know, those kind of things. So great stuff to share, and I think everyone would agree.
Yeah, it is, mate, and you know, bless them for supporting a show like this and for doing the work they do with small business. But well said. Back to the keyword strategy service, listeners, they will identify the short and the long tail keywords, the local keywords for your business, which up to 25 of them. So then you know what keywords you should be including in your website copy, in your blog posts, in your videos, whatever content you're creating. They'll then give you a keyword placement report, which shows where your website stands on search engines right now for those keywords. So you've got a benchmark, and then they'll do a 20-minute phone consultation on search engine optimization strategies. Griffo, what would you pay for that? $5,000?
Well, at least.
At least, yeah. Well, $99, and that's 99 Australian bucks, by the way, overseas listeners. So, love that package. Head over to Net Registry. Well, don't head over to Net Registry because you won't find that specific package. This is a listener package. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the Net Registry banner on the right-hand side, and you'll be taken to that keyword strategy service. Now, Griffo, I'm loving this. We are covering some serious marketing ground.
That spider gave us some mojo. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll tell you what, mate, I am having a look behind and
I thought about saying that. Just what's that on the wall, crawling up the wall behind you? But
would not have been funny because I don't know what it is, but the bugger, I sprayed him or her, I don't know what it was, and it disappeared.
Yeah, and then it's angry.
And then I have all this internal conversation like, it's angry, it doesn't like me. When it does see me, it's going to jump on me. I'm convinced spiders jump, by the way. I know, listeners, I'm giving you some insight that maybe I shouldn't be giving, but, mate, that's how we roll here, fairly transparent.
I know. It's open and ugly. That's all I can say.
I'm loving your pink T-shirt, by the way.
Thank you, mate. Feeling very modern and new age at this stage of the game.
Hey, we're videoing this. We don't normally video conversations. I don't normally video conversations when I do interviews because it does get in the way of the audio, but this audio is wonderful. I'm considering maybe...
We think it's wonderful. Let's wait and see what the audience is going to say.
I said the quality of the audio, not the content of the audio. But, mate, we could almost post this to YouTube or, it could be a vodcast.
I'm happy. I'd be happy if I was wearing trousers, but...
Well, it's the old newsreader thing, mate. It doesn't matter what you got on down below.
The Ron Burgundy of the world. Hasn't Ron Burgundy been such a wonderful promotion? Just like how well is that? Every time I turn around, he's doing the news or he's just like, what a great example of marketing creeping out of traditional areas and going into new spaces.
Mate, it is, for listeners who don't know what we're talking about, so Anchorman 2, it's out. Ron Burgundy is the lead. What's his name? Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Plays Ron Burgundy. And what the marketers, I guess it's the marketers of that movie have done is taken the lead character and put him everywhere throughout the world in real life news. He anchored a news broadcast out of the States alongside another newsreader and just read the news.
Well, and do you remember he did a flash about the Australian elections?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
They did it country specific, these YouTube clips around the world and sporting events has appeared at things and as you say, reading the news. Wonderful how the world, where marketing used to be so linear and now it's an inch deep perhaps, but a mile wide.
Oh, has it been segmented? I mean, this is where the big marketers, and this is a small business show, but it's a marketing play that any business can do. They've got to roll their sleeves up and forget I know the big media still delivers numbers. Like if you want to reach a lot of people and you've got deep pockets, then go and book a TV schedule or go and book a radio campaign. But have deep pockets and don't expect massive conversion unless you commit to some frequency. But some of the smart advertisers and businesses that I'm seeing are actually for example, identifying the top 100 podcasters or the top 100 bloggers and actually rolling the sleeves up and tapping each of them on the shoulder and saying, hey, listen, can we integrate into your brand? Albeit the audience size is going to be way smaller, but across 100 of the top ones, they're going to get so much engagement because the audience is so committed to that podcast or to that blog.
Yeah, an interesting point, though, on that, too. I think another maturity, and we spoke about it, we touched on social media before. I've got a few databases. I've got a database with 4,000 or 5,000 people in it, another one with, different 2,000 or 3,000, another one with 500 people in it. The one with 500, I generate far more business from than the one with, thousands in it.
Why?
Because they're targeted, they're more engage with me, they're more active with me, it's not just about numbers. And I see so many people, and the same with mainstream media. You book ad in a newspaper, ad on TV or whatever it might be, big numbers, but how many are really your audience? If you've got a database of 500 people who are fans,
absolutely,
listeners, whatever, they're a part of your community. They're far more likely to buy. And I said every time I'm promoting something, that database of 500 is where I make my money from. And I go, isn't that interesting? That the big, and we're all obsessed about numbers. Get a bigger database. Yeah. And you go, you know what? It's about the quality of the database and not the size is irrelevant.
Yes.
In my world. Obviously, the dream is to build a big database that is,
well, both quality and quantity.
But yeah, the obsession about just building, I think is just a farce. To be honest, it's like some of the viewer things. How many people are watching a TV show? Well, I think those figures are becoming less relevant now. That's why social media is becoming stronger again, from advertising on Facebook, advertising on that's extraordinary.
And look, it's another conversation, maybe for another funny business. But just speaking of mass media, speaking specifically of TV, mate, I don't know whether the programmers really get it, because when I do choose to sit down and watch telly, there's not a lot of great content there. And what I love about the micro nature of media now, and I think, by the way, every small business should consider themselves a publisher. Create a podcast, have a blog, create a video series, have a forum, whatever it may be, is that all of a sudden, if no matter what topic you're interested in, there'll be a podcast or a blog or a video, something on YouTube to satiate. Is that a word, mate? Satiate?
That'll do, yeah.
Placate? I don't know. Satisfy one's needs. Whereas you flick the TV on and, mate, it's CIS and NCYS and person of, mate, it's just all detective shows. The whole world need to see a detective show, do they? Oh, must have missed that email.
Don't know, but it's changing times, and the same old thing. If you just keep putting ads in or just keep running TV commercials, my advice is to rethink that strategy. Not saying not to, but you really got to be making sure it's working. The old generic thing, building your image, building your brand. You and I have spoken about that stuff in the advertising world for years and years and years. The world is different. It's much more targeted and specific, and it's a wonderful thing for small business owners.
Griffo, never been a better time to market a small business.
I couldn't agree more.
Hey, listen, that takes us onto our. It's one of the great segues. Unplanned.
I love it.
Unplanned, but we are getting better at what we do. I reckon we get to show Funny Business 99. This is Funny Business number 9, by the way.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, I know. Now, you have raised an interesting question here, asking, is there still a place for old-fashioned, low-tech marketing tools like sandwich boards, newsletters, brochures, thank you notes? Have you gone crazy?
And an open sign on a door for retail premises, the little flashing neon sign, open.
I don't know.
What do you think? I'd be really interested in your opinion.
I reckon absolutely there is. People think, and I don't want to be seen necessarily holus bolus as the guy, the new world of marketing guy, although I spend a lot of time talking about that. It's not that I think there is no longer a role for the A-frame or the newsletter or the brochure. What I love, and this was proved in episode 163 of this show where I interviewed Carmen from Urban Martial Arts in Brooklyn, the integration of old school and new school marketing techniques. Bring it on. Have a brochure that sends people to a YouTube video clip as a call to action where they can find out more about you or see a video of a product overview that you've got. Carmen was going to school open days and having information booths for her martial arts gym where her so old school marketing, but her entire objective was to get people's mobile numbers into her email management system, into her text management system, so that she could then communicate with them post the event.
Fabulous.
Combine both, mate. What do you reckon?
Look, I couldn't agree more. What I see, though, as a bit of a problem in small businesses is that we are obsessed with social media, or we're frustrated with social media, or we're spending all of our time working in digital. We're somewhere in there, somewhere in that mix, or resisting it. Whatever it might be, everyone's in there because there's such a conversation around it. What I find difficult, though, is that people are almost forgetting the old stuff that they used to do. They're forgetting about these kind of simple things that really were beneficial, because they think that you've got to just throw it all. You've got to forget about that stuff and just do the new stuff. And I had this very interesting conversation with a chap recently, and it was interesting. His business used to do $1 million a year turnover. It had dropped down to half that. And he asked me, what do I need to do? And I gave him a list of all the things that I thought he needed to do, which was all old school. Bringing your clients, putting an open sign out, send out a newsletter, follow up people, thank them for their business, all that kind of jazz. And he sat there with this kind of dumb grin on his face, and I kind of went, I got a bit frustrated with him. I said, do you think this is silly? He said, no, the exact opposite. He said, I used to do all of those things, but I stopped doing them because I've become obsessed with social media and Facebook and all this stuff, because everyone keeps telling me that's the answer, that's the answer, that's the answer. And that was the moment went on when he said, you know what, I've got to be doing all these things again. 2 months later, rang him after he'd implemented all these things, the update thing, how's it all going? And they said, my turnover's back up to where it was within a really short amount of time, because I'm communicating more directly with my clients. I'm even hanging out an open sign. People said, we thought you were shut down for a while. And it was quite dark in the shop, and he's going, what, really? Really? It's extraordinary. And that's a great way that you just phrase that, is that really they're mixing the old school and the new school. It's not either or.
No, it's
Both
not.
of them need to be working together and integrated.
Absolutely not. There's a balance. In fact, there's a great forum discussion at the moment from forum member Mark, and he raised it at the start of this year, all about networking. Now, Mark is very much an online guy. His business is all about cloud-based computing for the small business owner. But I'll read you part of what he posted in the forum. He says, one of my major goals this year is to do more networking that is active and part of my marketing and business development plan. I definitely want to take the approach of building contacts and connections and not just selling. If I can regularly attend one networking function a week, different events rather than the same meetup each week, by the middle of the year, I think I will be pretty happy. What are your tips and thoughts on this? And there's a wonderful discussion inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum about tips on how to do that. And, again, like getting out from in front of the screen, and I talk about, looking up 3 centimeters. We're looking at the screen the whole time, look up 3 centimeters, and there might be a person there, and
exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, I think just that offline, online, old school, new school, get your balance right.
And that's really the hard part for a lot of business owners, is I don't quite know what my balance is. How much time should I spend on social media? How much time should I spend out and about? And I don't really know that there's a definitive answer for that. But I do believe if you spend all your time doing old school, your business is going to be in trouble somewhere down the line. If you spend all your time doing new school, I think the exact same. I think it's got to be a wonderful balance that you've got to figure out what does that translate for you? What are the old schools? Just like what we spoke about before, about become a follow-up guru. That's my advice from our earlier conversation. Well, that's old school. Unfortunately, it kind of really isn't, but it kind of is.
So some of it, you can follow up. I mean, depends whether follow-up means a phone call.
You can use new techniques for follow-up, yeah. But generally old school, sitting down and writing a thank you note. I still believe a thank you note to someone is one of the most powerful marketing tools you can ever have. Particularly if you have high-value clients, high-value customers. Thanks for the business, those kind of things, again, I believe if you can work out the mix and commit time to both of them, that's a really great thing. Positive step for a business.
Love it, Griffo. Great conversation. Now, buddy, I like this next topic.
Beautiful.
Made me laugh when I saw it come through. Now, you reckon there's a very special club out there that we don't really want to be a part of, but you reckon they are on a fairly strong recruitment drive. What's the club, mate?
Well, look, and this is a club that's been around for many, many years. It exists. It's around there, and yes, they're recruiting. It's called the Miserable Bastards Club.
Right.
And what it is, it's those small business owners that no matter what is going on, they find some way to be miserable. Now, to identify club members, they don't wear patches.
They don't.
They're not like, Queensland now, we have bikie laws. You can't wear patch stuff now. But typically you'll see 3 of them at a coffee shop sitting together. The reason you've got to have 3, a triangle, is so that if one goes to the toilet, the other 2 can continue being miserable, okay?
Right.
You can't have a break in the miserableness. Now, those people that you meet and they are negative about it. Business sucks, the economy sucks, the political party sucks, everything sucks. It's miserable, miserable, miserable. Now, I see those people, no matter what is going on, they find something to be miserable about.
Yep.
And to me, they are so detrimental to your business. They are so detrimental to your headspace. They bring you down. Business success to me is so much about what goes on in your head. It is so much about your attitude I kind of burst in the skin with it, because I just believe if you have the wrong attitude, you're destined to not succeed in business. But the miserable nature of people, I see them around there and I go, well, isn't it extraordinary how powerful that is? And I used to say, you get 5 small business owners in a room together and the conversation will turn negative within a matter of 30 seconds. That's the power of sometimes, the negativity side. Not so much now. I believe that's changed a lot.
Yeah, okay. I hope so. I mean, that's a broad, sweeping comment, and clearly, and I have seen that. But then it is all about the people that you hang out with. And boy, oh boy, one of the things I love about the forum is that it is just full of motivated small business owners. And anytime we get, and KPI is another example that you and I are both involved in, where when you are around people who just want to improve, it's a wonderful, wonderful space, and it can't help but rub off. I mean, I say you are who Google says you are. You also are who you are. You are who the people. What am I saying here? You are a reflection of the people that you hang around with too. And sometimes we've got to make hard decisions and say, listen, whether you actively say, I can't hang out with you anymore, or you just remove yourself from the negative aspects, the negative influences, and gravitate to the more positive ones. And it doesn't take long. You only have to be in a room once with a group of positive people, and you can feel that inside.
Well, and I agree completely. I think really my reason for this message and to have this discussion is that I see people who are really positive, yet their business group that they hang with, or their other people that are around, 5 people they spend most of their time with, are not. And it makes it really hard. And even for them internally, they don't agree with a miserable conversation, but they join it to be part of the group. And that has an impact. And I've seen this for many, many years. In small business, there used to be the thing, I used to call it, small business syndrome, or the small business medal of honor, where you had to turn around and go, I haven't had a holiday for 25 years, and I've got the scars to prove it, emotional and physical, and kind of be proud of that fact, wear that as a mark of, I've been building this business for 25 years and not made any money, like I should be proud of that fact, or all those kind of things. And to me, it's just wrong. It's just not right. If you've made any money in your business for 25 years, well, that's something to be sad about, not to be proud about. If you hadn't had a holiday in 10 years, well, that's sad. That's the whole reverse of what we're all trying to do here. You do need to be very careful who you surround yourself. And if you're not part of an active, positive group, or you haven't got one there, the problem is anyone listening to the show, we're probably preaching to the converted already. But I think a lot of people are always looking for inspiration. That's why they come and listen to things like this, or come to workshops, or read positive stuff. And I see a direct relationship between their state of mind and their profitability. Positivity equals profit.
A past guest of mine, Phil McKinney, who's responsible for creating the Killer Innovations process, which is, when you're innovating, you've got to be positive. You've got to have an open mind. You've got to lose limiting beliefs and all that type of stuff. And he's coined, there's a number of blockages to thinking innovatively in your business. There's about 10, but one of them, he's coined the phrase, the corporate antibody. Mm. And this is the person who goes, that'll never work. We've tried that. It's too expensive. They'll laugh at us. It's just it's this immediate, and I think all of us have got our checkout. We all do it. I mean, at some point, whether it be just for 5 minutes in a day or all week, every now and then we are a member of the Miserable Bastards Club. Mm-hmm. We've just got to check ourselves and go, oh, no. Before I say no, find a reason to say yes. That doesn't mean every idea's got to be a good one. I mean, There's some pretty crook ideas out there, but I think we've got to check ourselves and make sure that our membership to the Miserable Bastards Club is cancelled real quick.
And don't feed it.
Don't feed it.
Don't, if the conversation turns around like that, as you say, yeah, sure, it's easy. We can all have a whinge about this or that or the other, but the reality is we can feed it. We can, there is a melancholy that can exist that is easy to get fed, at times. And we just, a bit of self-management, we got to know when we join a conversation like that going, well, I actually don't believe that. Why am I actually saying this? Or are the people around me, do a relationship audit. Look at the people that you're spending your time with and go, well, who are members of the club? Hopefully no one. But if you've got people in there, I am quite firm about it. You know, do you remember Ian Elliott's standard conversation that he has? You know, he has his life is an asshole-free zone. You know, and again. To me, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and that takes confidence. I mean, Ian's a very successful guy, and he can choose who he works with. But I also think that no matter at what level of success you're at, or whether you're still striving for success, sometimes have the courage to pick and choose who you work with, who you hang out with. So, love your work, Griffo. Love the name of the club. Don't like the essence behind that club. I'm going to avoid it at all costs, mate. We are at about the 53-minute mark. I've thoroughly enjoyed this episode. We have covered some serious marketing ground. I love the fact that there's just a little bit of marketing gold dripping from that ceiling.
They want to get my gold on the ceiling.
The monkeys have been a bit noisy in the background, but we'll address that by shutting the door on this episode, I reckon, mate. What do you reckon?
They're enthused. I think we've done enough here. Thank you for listening in, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been high energy today.
High energy. We need more spiders.
We need a tarantula just let loose in your office every time before we do funny business, mate.
Listeners, thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Net Registry for the love that you give us online. Head over to netregistry.com.au. You can also head over to swiftly.com if you want to get a little design tweak done real quick. Don't forget, if you want to continue the discussion, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the forum button. Join it. I'm in there every day amongst... There is no miserable bastards in the forum, let me tell you. It's amongst motivated small business owners who are answering each other's marketing questions, keeping each other accountable, providing the love and support that we all need and deserve as we grow our babies into the empire they deserve to be. That's the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Griffo, I love your work. I can't wait to see you next time in the monkey cage for another episode of Funny Business. But listeners, until next time, may your marketing be the best marketing. See ya.
See you guys.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
G'day, it's Timbo here, and I thought I'd share with you, as I am making a habit of these days, some wonderful listener reviews I'm receiving on the Apple iTunes store. So here's 3 to share a bit of the love around. This one's from Kaz Finnan. She says, the recipe for fabulously productive car travel, 5 stars. I have to thank you for making all my car journeys so very productive, Timbo. I have always felt that car time is wasted time, and over the years I have tried numerous audio books to improve the use of my driving time. If I hear an American voice telling me to be the best I can be one more time, I think I will just drive the car into a wall. Don't do that, Kaz. They mean well. Anyway, now I have Small Business Big Marketing. Thank God for your back catalogue too, because I devour your new episodes in a heartbeat and hungrily scroll through past episodes as well. The best part is that it's all still relaxed downtime for me. I'm learning, but it doesn't feel arduous or draining. Beep, beep. Love it. Thank you, Kaz. This one's from Striking T Dog. Inspiration to a new small business operator, 5 stars. I have been setting up my business over the past few months, and part of the process involved looking for some solid small business advice in podcast form. This podcast delivers in spades. Awesome format with great insights and useful tips that I am working hard to integrate into my business plan. Only suggestion would be to have a section focusing on your thoughts about the current small business landscape in Australia, including a marketing tip of the week prior to the interview. Keep up the awesome work, TJ. Thanks, TJ. That's a really nice idea. I will certainly consider that going forward, although there is a lot of marketing tips already in there, and I do want to avoid the overwhelm. Maybe the listener question kind of fills that void. I've been doing that for a while now, so maybe this review's pre that. Thanks for the idea, though, TJ. And this one is from Elliot J. Bailey, 5 stars. Thanks, Tim. Been a long-time listener and got some real marketing gold out of this. Don't forget the earlier episodes, as there's some really good gold gear in there as well. Just listened in to the episode on rebranding, which I'm doing right now. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Love your work. See you next week. Bye.